every time I think things might start to turn around or might start to get better, then I look at the news again and am reminded that we're going in the wrong direction in a lot of different ways here. This is Sean from Invest to Live. If you watch this channel, we talk about economic indicators, signals. We look at the broader markets, supply chain issues, etc. Unfortunately, in a string of tons of bad news, I've got to drop some more bad news on you here today. Uh, we're seeing the highest inflation reading in 30 years in the US. So this is causing a major retreat in stocks right now because this October consumer price reading has basically given us this gigantic jump in over 30 years in the price of goods, services, etc. And what's happening is major investors, traders, large firms are basically going into hedge mode. They're trying to ensure they have downside protection. They're doing what they can to ensure they're in a good spot from a market perspective. And we're seeing huge bumps in bond yields as well, which means that we're pulling money out of the equity markets and moving them into the bond markets. So who's typically going to get hurt here? Well, from a stock perspective, it's typically the big names in tech, right? It's going to be big growth stocks are going to get crushed in times like this. But that's not really the point I want to talk about. You know who's really going to get crushed here? Anyone who is working paycheck to paycheck, doesn't earn much money, doesn't have assets, because that's being continuously ignored across the board here from an economic perspective. It's one thing to talk about inflation. It's another thing to talk about a continual misdirection and misunderstanding of how bad inflation is. So what we know right now is the consumer price index is up 6.2% from a year ago, which is quite a bit above what we thought we were going to be seeing at 5.9% estimate coming out of Dow Jones's polls. And this is actually the largest since 1990. Think about that, since 1990. So on a monthly basis, CPI is up 0.9% against what we thought was going to be 0.6%. That's outrageous again, too. And just to be clear here, when we're talking about CPI, this consumer price index, it's basically this idea of like, what does a big group of different things cost? Milk, gas, healthcare services, all kinds of different things in your life. And we kind of look at that and see what we're seeing from a trend in prices. It could even be as big as things like rent as well. So like, is your rent going up more than normal? Is your gas costing more? I actually just came from the gas station down the street from my house, and it cost me $70 to fill my tank. That is just craziness. The problem, though, is that I'm an investor. I hold assets. I'm in a spot where inflation is not going to damage me. Inflation is going to help me because I have assets. I have things that will go up in value and price because of inflation. The issue here is that and this is not a political channel, but just right now what we're seeing is nothing is being done. So what's happening is the same people who have been needing help are now getting even hurt worse. If you're in a paycheck to paycheck situation, or you don't have money invested, you don't own assets, everything you're buying with money that's worth less than it was just a month ago. So your rent is costing you more, your milk, your gas, your services, when you go to the doctor or the dentist, everything is costing more. So this is more serious than just another thing, because what's going to have to happen is we're going to have to start seeing people make decisions between what they can get and what they can't, where they can splurge and where they can't. How far they might want to drive because they have to calculate cost. And I'm not trying to be dramatic. It really does matter to look at it this way. There's two sides to every coin. And what we're seeing is a continual push on our economy from policies that are not working, make absolutely no sense, no direction. And essentially, we seem to be a place without a rudder here. I'm not going to go on and on today about all these different pieces, but I do want to just call it out here that there's sometimes random opportunities you can find sort of in the cut or in the mix. So that's why we're seeing things today, like a Bitcoin price was way up, almost at 70K. So if you're holding crypto, maybe that's a great hedge. Gold will probably go up. We'll see bond prices move as well as those yields grow. But look, we got to do something here from a political perspective. I don't care where you stand on this, what you think of anybody who's in charge or not in charge or was in charge, whatever. Take it to another channel to talk politics. We are in a place where the people who need help the most are now getting hammered, crushed by what's going on. Well, nothing is being done. There are absolutely no answers being given. It's rippling through our economy. It's rippling through our stock markets. It's rippling through people's savings accounts. It's rippling through their paychecks. The call is that we cannot continue in this path of an ever-increasing inflationary period. 30 years, the highest we've ever seen. Come on. I mean, that's outrageous. And even the analysts are coming in low consistently. because it's almost hard to even believe we're seeing inflation like this. It's a major, major problem. Something has to be done about it. And, that's that on that topic. So I'm going to wrap it up there. This is big news. If you don't pay attention to economic indicators, you really need to, because the things that move the markets, not individual stocks, not individual indexes, the things that are going to move the markets at scale, everything in the market, it's going to be huge economic indicators. It's going to be inflation. It's going to be housing. It's the big things that ripple across the country and across the world. So with that, thanks for watching. I know it's the middle of the day here, and a lot of people are probably working like I am, but I want to get this out there. These are the numbers you need to know to be successful in investing. You also need to know how to hedge, how to protect yourself in cases like this, and what you can do to get around that downside risk. Thanks for watching. Let's hope we start seeing some normal inflation here so we can see some people get themselves out of holes. Thanks so much, everybody.